Hey YouTube, this is Justin with Alternative Drummer. Today I've got a tutorial for all of you out there. What we're going to be doing is hooking up my electronic drums to an iPad running Garageband. You can actually use Garageband to replace all of the drum sounds in your electronic drum module, and basically your iPad becomes your module. So I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a second. Before we get started though, be sure to check out my link down below to my latest musical project, which is called Mockman Mini. On my Bandcamp page, you can actually order unique, one-of-a-kind cassette tapes where I play through the songs 100% in real time to cassette, and basically no two cassettes are exactly the same. So if you order one of these cassette tapes, you will get something totally unique. There will be no two copies alike, and you'll also get a digital download of the official release. So check that out down below. I'm really excited about this project. The cassettes I think are really cool, and it's a great way to support this channel. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is your iPad. Now, this may seem like a silly thing to include, but the reason why I wanted to talk about it because there's quite a few different iPads out there, and I wanted to tell you which ones are the best and which ones to avoid if you don't already have one. And also, I just wanted to say that no, this will not work on Android. It doesn't matter if you have like the greatest Android tablet in the world, it's still not gonna run GarageBand. GarageBand is an Apple-only product, and there aren't really any alternatives that will do this exact thing in Android as far as I know. All right, so there's a bunch of different iPads out there. There's the regular iPad 10th generation, which just came out a little while ago. There's the iPad 9th generation, which is this one right here. There's the iPad Air, and there's the iPad Pro. So you have a few different iPads that you can currently buy new from Apple. And I'm gonna tell you why that the iPad 9th generation, just the standard 9th generation, not the 10th generation, is actually the best one that you can buy if you plan on using it with your electronic drums. The 10th generation actually isn't that great. It's going to be about the same between the 10th generation, the iPad Air, as well as the iPad Pro. You're gonna have pretty much the same results with all of those. You can get them to work, but it just takes a lot more adapters and dongles and things like that to make them work. The 9th generation has all the ports on it that you need. So it's actually really good that it still has the Lightning port as well as the headphone jack on the top. And we're going to be using both of these to make this work the way we want it to. Now, if you have like an 8th or a 7th generation iPad, those will probably work just fine as well. Okay, the next thing you're going to need is the Apple camera adapter for your iPad. This allows you to plug a USB cable into the Lightning port on the iPad. You're also going to need a USB Type A to USB Type B cable. This is like the printer type cable. And the thing we need this for is to plug this into our drum module, and the other side will go into the iPad. So let's go ahead and plug this one in right here. And I'm gonna plug this into the iPad. And then I'm gonna take the other end of this cable and plug it into my drum module. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, the next thing you're gonna wanna do is go into your drum module and turn local control off. Now this is gonna be different depending on which module that you have. Hopefully you can see my screen here. I'm using an SD1000 by Simmons. So I'm gonna go ahead and press my utility button here, and then I'm going to scroll over until I see Midi setting. And then I'm gonna go into here, and then I'm going to turn local off. And that's all I have to do there. Okay, the next thing you're going to want is an aux cable. So I just have like a standard aux cable that you might use, with your car. And what I'm gonna do here is actually plug the aux cable into the headphone output of the iPad. And then I'm gonna plug the other end into the auxiliary input on the back of the module. So now basically I will be able to control sounds from the iPad using my electronic drums, and then the sound from the iPad will travel out of this cable, go into my drum module, and I could use my drum module, basically the way I would normally. If I want to record it, I can run it out to my audio interface. I can use the headphones right out of the module. So basically I'm just running the MIDI output from the module into the iPad, turning off the internal sounds on the module, then running the audio from the iPad back out into the module. Okay, let's go ahead and open up GarageBand. And I'm gonna press this little plus symbol up here to create a new project. And then we're just going to swipe left, right until we get to drums, which is already coming up here as the first choice. And I'm just gonna press acoustic drums there. And then I already have a drum kit that just opened up right here, but I'm gonna select one that I like more, which is this retro rock kit. I really like that one. And I'm gonna show you guys what it sounds like. All right, let's talk about some problems that you may run into. In order to understand the problems, you have to understand what GarageBand actually does with electronic drums. So if you have a drum set that has all single zone cymbals, you're going to have an easier time. Most of the things probably will work right out of the box. If you have drums that have some dual zone cymbals, like I do here on this crash, and actually my ride is 3-zone and both crashes are dual zone. So if I hit the bow of the cymbal here, you hear a cymbal, but if I hit the edge, nothing. And that's same with this one over here. Actually, no, that one's giving me a ride if I hit the edge. And if I hit my ride cymbal, that works. Edge doesn't work, and the bell does work. Dual zone snares will usually map correctly. Toms usually have no problem. But a lot of times you'll run into issues with your cymbals. So another thing is don't expect to be able to choke your cymbals. That's not going to work. Okay, but we can usually fix our edge zones of our crashes. Now, in order to do that, you need to have a drum module that allows you to edit the Midi note of the drum that is being hit. So what I'm going to do is actually go into my module and adjust the edges of my crashes to be crash cymbals, basically the same sound that's here. Also, it should be noted that you only really get one crash sound in a lot of these kits for GarageBand, so you'll notice the same sound on left and right. But, it is what it is. It's not really that big a deal once you start playing. Okay, now let's go ahead and make some changes to the module to enable some crashes to work on the edge zones. Now, if your module does not allow you to adjust the note, the Midi note, this really will not work. There's not a whole lot you can do. Basically, you just need a module that will do this. All right, so in this particular drum module, I'm going to go into my menu and then select voice. But I'm not actually going to change the crash sound since we're not even really hearing that. But what I am going to do is scroll over until I see Midi note right here. Okay, now first I can tap the one that works, and that one says 49. Now if I hit the edge zone, all I have to do is switch this one to 49 too. There we go. So now both hits are creating a crash. Now I can do the same thing on my right crash. So 57, I'll change this one to 57 as well. And then for the ride, I'm going to change the edge of the ride. Okay, so I'm going to change the edge of my ride also to a crash. So let's go to 57 again on that. Okay, now all the zones on my drums when I hit them are doing something. Even though I have 3 crashes that sound exactly the same, but still it works. So I can basically hit anything I want and nothing will mistrigger or, there won't be any gaps. Okay, so I'm sure some of you out there are saying to yourselves, like, I don't have an iPad 9th generation. I only have a 10th generation, or I just bought the 10th generation. Can I do this with that? I have an iPad Pro. So if you have an iPad Pro or a 10th generation, you can still do this. It's just going to take a little more adapters. Now, I don't personally own an iPad Pro or a 10th generation, but I could still show you some screenshots of some of the stuff I'm talking about, as well as I'll post some links down below where you can pick this stuff up. Now, the first thing you're going to need is a USB-C to 1/8 inch stereo adapter to give you an audio output on your iPad. So that's so you can actually hear the drums. Now, see, the tricky thing with these new iPads is there's only one port on them. So you could go and probably find some type of hub, USB hub or something like that, and plug a bunch of stuff into that. But I think I came up with a more elegant solution where you won't need a hub, and that is by using a wireless Midi transceiver. Now, this device allows you to plug into a hardware Midi connection on your drum module. It will send a Bluetooth signal out and you could connect to that with your iPad and receive the MIDI messages that way, and then you could still pipe the audio out of the USB-C adapter. So you only really need one adapter on the iPad and then one on the drum module itself. Of course, this will only work if your drum module actually has a hardware MIDI output, like a DIN connection with like the 5 pins on the inside. It will not work on a USB cable as far as I know. If you only have USB MIDI on your module and that's the only option, then you probably will want to go with some sort of USB-C to USB-A multi-adapter. Okay, so I'm just chiming in here while I'm doing my editing because I think I might have found a good solution for you iPad Pro users and iPad 10th generation users out there, which is this thing. It's a little bit on the pricey side, but it's this Satechi aluminum USB-C Mobile Pro. And what this thing does is it actually it can plug directly into the iPad, as you can see right there, or you can use this little dongle cable, but it has a variety of ports here, and it basically has everything you need, actually more than everything that you need, but this is pretty nice. So it has an audio jack port, it has USB-C, and then it also has a couple of micro SD card slots and USB-A as well as HDMI. So really all you would need it for is the USB-A and the audio jack, but it'd be pretty nice to have all these extra ports as well, I guess. So anyway, I thought I would chime in here and let you guys know that basically I think this would work. And of course you can buy it from Amazon. There'll be a link down below. And if it doesn't work, you can just return it because Amazon's pretty good about that. But I think this will do the trick. And then basically you could just follow the instructions that I did with the iPad 9th generation. Everything would still apply and it'd be the exact same hookup once you have this adapter. Now back on the wireless MIDI, I've made some videos on doing this in the past, and actually it works far better than you could possibly imagine. The wireless MIDI really doesn't introduce any more latency than the USB cable, or if it does, it's not even really noticeable. So you can still play real time with the Bluetooth MIDI coming out of your module, connected to the iPad. You connect the iPad USB-C to 1/8 inch adapter. The aux cable plugs into that and goes into your module. So I know it's a bit of a process, and maybe that didn't make a whole lot of sense the way I explained it, but hopefully it did. And if you have any questions or anything, just let me know down below and I'll try my best to answer them. Do you use an iPad with your electronic drums? What kind of results have you had? I think it's a really cool device, and I've recorded drums this way. I've used the internal iPad sounds for drum tracks, and I think they sound really good. Surprisingly, they're almost better than some of the plugins that are out there that you can buy. So if you have an iPad already, this is very worth checking out. Now keep in mind, it is kind of simple. You don't get a lot of different, variety of cymbals and things like that. But if you're looking to lay down just a solid, nice sounding drum track, the ones in Garageband on the iPad definitely will fit the bill. Anyway, thanks for watching everybody. See y'all really soon. Have a great day.